It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated with style and durability. You can trust Tervis tumblers to keep your drinks the perfect temperature, hot or cold, for hours. From the classic insulated tumblers to sleek stainless steel water bottles, each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Since our founding, we've been revolutionizing hair removal with cutting-edge technology and a commitment to empowerment. The U-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. Experience the future of hair removal today at ulike.com, because at U-Like, beauty is about looking and feeling good. That's ulike.com. U-Like. With Ease US, make studio-quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects, featuring 468 natural AI voices. Customize the volume, mood, and pauses to perfectly match your content. Plus, capture high-quality videos with no watermark. Record your screen, webcam, and voice, and save them instantly to your computer. Never been easier to create professional-grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US.
Just use Amp-Pace.
Amp-Pace.
It is the Pete Sousa Show. It's a Friday. We've got our NFL Draft edition of the Pete Sousa Show, and in honor of the NFL Draft, the first pick in the 1973 NFL Draft was this guy. The Twos, baby! John Matuzak, selected by Al Davis and the Raiders, who passed on Shedeur Sanders last night. Just like everybody else in the first round, the Pete Sousa Show is presented by Slovaceks. Can't forget about Crawford Austin Property, Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers, and Socorro Family Ford. Get a car there and get some kolaches at Slovaceks. I'm excited. I had a great time last night watching the draft. Got to watch with Christy, my love. She did a really good job. Like, she was basically like a third member of the team. She talked a lot, which was great. She was like the fourth member. We watched the ABC version. It was awesome. It was a lot of fun. They do a tremendous job, the way that they break down the draft, the way you can watch it on so many different platforms. You can watch our show right now, today on X. Of course, also live on YouTube. Like, subscribe, and hit that alarm bell button. I'm always threatening. I'm going to be going live someday in the middle of the afternoon when you're doing nothing, and you're going to watch. We have to start today, much to the chagrin of Nick Saban, much to the chagrin of most people. I was watching this morning, Dan Orlovsky, I could tell. He was done talking about Shedeur. But like, it's the order of the day. People are interested. I'm interested. I didn't quite, it didn't surprise me at all that he dropped to the second round. I know it didn't surprise a lot of people. But I want to start this thing off by saying it's the best possible thing that ever could have happened to that dude. Scotty, what are you doing? You need some help with something?
I'm just checking something.
Scotty's checking something. Scotty Swingler, all the wheels of steel today. Scotty Swingler, knocking shit over today. So, Shedeur drops out of the first round. And, you know, it wasn't quite painful as a guy in the green room, right? We all think to Aaron Rodgers and just getting passed over. And that was all in the first round. But it was ours, you know. It was he was mentioned around the top 3 picks, and then he doesn't get taken till Green Bay selects somewhere in the 20s. Now, I believe like the Sanders team, they knew he wasn't going to get drafted or there was an outside shot, and I just think all the way down to the way he was shot last night, and like they shot him from the back. And he didn't do any interviews that I saw, right? And he spoke on social media at the end of the night and was basically like, hey, like this is, you know, nothing happens by mistake. And I agree with that. I didn't like when he said, we all know this shouldn't have happened. Let's get that out of there. But the fact of the matter is, him falling into the second round, God forbid third, is going to be great for his career. One, he now has a chip on his shoulder for the rest of his life, and especially towards the early part of his career, where he will get the opportunity now to learn under another starting quarterback, because here's another piece of good news. You know, back in January, when a lot of folks were talking about Shedeur was a lock to go top 3, you know, and some of those people didn't know what they were talking about. But some people that did still had him going top 3, maybe the first pick in the draft. Those picks and putting a young quarterback in those positions makes him extremely vulnerable. You know, think Sam Darnold with the Jets, right? Think Joey Harrington with the Detroit Lions. Think Achilles Smith with the Bengals. You know, those are just a couple. There's so many. Think Ryan Leaf with the Chargers. And what I mean by that is when you take these quarterbacks who are so high profile and have had such success, Shedeur actually is an exception to the rule. He actually knows. People said he held onto the ball too long. Well, that's because nobody was blocking for him. And when they were, it was a difficult situation for him as a quarterback. He always felt a ton of pressure. It affected his confidence. He still found a way to play through it. And he had a magnificent career at Colorado. But now it's a whole different animal for him. He's going to be one of those guys who, how do you not do what they call the lonely work, right? He's going to be thinking, they don't think I'm good enough. They don't think I'm good enough, right? That's one big part. He'll also, people talk about him being entitled, and I don't necessarily believe that. And I spoke on here last week about how it was weak sauce, that anonymous assistant coach, or I spoke on it earlier this year. Somebody would say that about Shedeur Sanders. Put your name on it or shut up, dude. And by the way, it sounded like that guy was a jaded lover. But aside from all that, I want to mention a couple quarterbacks who were taken in the later rounds, right? Guys like Tom Brady, guys like Joe Montana. I'll even go to the 80s. Randall Cunningham, Boomer Esiason, Brett Favre, you know, Drew Brees back into the 90s, 2000s. And, of course, my favorite, even though he was taken in the first round, it was later and way later than we thought, Aaron Rodgers. And there's just a different makeup of a quarterback who feels like he wasn't getting respected. Athletes, whatever. And it changes everything about his NFL career. I believe this microcosm, right now we're all prisoners of the moment. Everybody wants to talk about Shedeur Sanders, whatever. Last night, I thought Nick Saban's head was going to explode when they were talking about him again. He was like, well, I don't understand why we're talking about where he's going to get drafted. It's like, well, Nick, this is TV. He's right, but at the same time, he's wrong. So I believe the best is yet to come for Shedeur Sanders. We'll talk in the second segment about where he's going to go, but I have a very, very good feeling about where he's going to go. And I know that when we talk about Shedeur and the draft, and we're in Texas, right? So Texas high school football, Texas college football, it's a big deal to us, and it's a big deal to my good buddy Scotty Swingler. Now, all week long, all honestly lead up to the draft, we've been talking nonstop about Shedeur, and why not? He's just a social media magnet. He clicks, whatever it is. There's just major interest, dude. But Scotty feels like Cam Ward has been totally screwed out of this whole thing. Scotty, you want to join right now?
Yeah, dude. Here's the thing. I know it's boring because we've known for like at least a month that Cam Ward was going to go number one of the Titans. They made it pretty clear. He made it pretty clear. Cam Ward, generally speaking, not someone who draws a lot of headlines or attention. I think this kid is the best story in sports in a long, long time. I do have my biases. Okay. I grew up in Central Texas. I think Texas high school football is so well represented in Cam Ward's journey. We need to make a film about it. We need to talk to Corey and see if Rogue Media is going to make the Cam Ward film. Let me read you just a couple things about Cam Ward real quick. Cam Ward played at Columbia High School in West Columbia, Texas. That's in Brazoria County. It's a rural county that borders Harris and where Houston is.
Zero-star guy.
West Columbia, Texas has a population of 3,644 people. This is small-town Texas everywhere. There are thousands of towns like this all across Texas, no-name towns. This one in the shadow of Harris County, Houston, but in the country, middle of nowhere, West Columbia. He was a zero-star recruit. He had to go play at Incarnate Word, which is a Catholic school. That's a school with less than 10,000 students. Their stadium seats 6,000 fans. That's Incarnate Word. They play in the Southland Conference, right?
Taina Northington went there, my good buddy from KWTX.
He had to go earn a starting spot at Incarnate Word and then earn his way to play at Miami, get to the Heisman ceremony as a finalist, and now he's the #1 overall pick in the NFL draft. And I want to give him his flowers, first of all, because it speaks to his character, his perseverance, his work ethic, his game. Yeah. Like, kid came from, again, small town Texas and became a star. But it also speaks, I think, to this narrative, and this is the last thing I wanted to share, and we can bat around whatever you want. It speaks to this narrative of Texas high school football. Pete.
Pete is ready for this.
Since 2009, this is the 6th Texas high school quarterback taken #1 overall after Matthew Stafford, Andrew Luck, Baker Mayfield, and Kyler Murray. Sorry, 5th. I counted wrong. But Texas, since 2010, has led all states with 20 quarterbacks drafted into the NFL draft. Texas high school kids, 20 of them since 2010. Overall, Texas high schools have the most #1 overall picks in NFL history with 16. California is second with 13. Texas has produced the most total NFL players ever with 2,628 NFL players coming from the state of Texas. California is second, just 21 behind California, 2,607. But Texas with the most NFL players ever. And as of the 2024 NFL season, Texas had the highest number of high school graduates on opening day rosters with 190. Not to mention, as I quoted to you a few weeks back, since 2018, I believe, the Super Bowl has only been won by Tom Brady or a Texas high school quarterback. Nick Foles, Jalen Hurts, Pat Mahomes, Texas kids. Matt Stafford.
Yeah.
So, I just love the story. I love Cam Ward, and I love what it says about Texas high school football, that even the kid from 3,000 people, West Columbia, Texas, has that kind of talent. That kind of talent is all over the state. Schools know it. The NFL knows it. We should be talking about it more. And I hate that Shedeur Sanders and the drama takes away from, the goodness that is happening here. Scotty B pointing out Will Howard and Quinn Ewers surely drafted in the next 2 days. Also, Texas high school football.
That's a great point.
Not to mention Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah. Well, and
Texas high school football.
Let me tell you the best part about what you just said, which is like really, it's compelling, it's insightful, and it's a tip of the cap to Texas high school football, right?
Yep.
Which is the best anywhere across the country. There's no question about
Period.
that. And this is a guy from Pennsylvania. And Western Pennsylvania's pumped out a lot of great football players, and
Indeed.
where I'm from in Philly, but nowhere near, okay? Abdul Carter, by the way, from Philly. Okay, so let's talk about Cam Ward for a second and the person he is. Now, if you saw when he was drafted, and it was awesome to see Travis Hunter, like, that was one of the coolest things. I think to know that guy is who he is, as reported by Dion and everybody else, he's just the best kid, Travis Hunter is. Now, he was elated, jubilant. He's wearing the pink suit. He's dancing. Cam Ward was much different. Cam Ward was basically like it was a business trip. When he got drafted, he was probably one of the more understated guys who was selected by a team. Certainly to be number one and to be that understated on a night where this is the that's why it's a bummer about Shedeur sometimes, because we're talking about him not getting drafted. Wasn't this supposed to be the best night of some of these guys' lives, right? But the best part about the situation last night, to what you're talking about, and the silver lining around Cam Ward, he doesn't care. Like, he doesn't care that people are talking about Shedeur Sanders and they're not talking about him. Like, I've come to learn just from 30,000 feet reading about this kid and talking to guys like McShay about him, talking to people like you about him. McShay was like, dude, this guy's grind city. Like, he's actually a great example to all the kids everywhere, to people everywhere. Like, if you grind your ass off and work hard and you have obviously some tools to tap into, like, this is what it's all about, man.
Bingo. And listen, I went to a high school here in Central Texas. I graduated with 132 people in my class.
Yeah.
For Texas, that's actually not tiny. But for a lot of, when we think of where great football players come from, that's tiny, right?
Yeah.
We've had some good college football players come out of my high school. Nobody make the NFL to this point. But for everybody who goes to a high school like mine,
yeah.
And again, there's thousands of them across the state of Texas. It's huge. There's thousands of kids going to a high school where their graduating classes, 50 kids, 60 kids, 130 kids, 200 kids. And they're going to these schools where they are so under the radar. Scouts are not coming out there to West Texas, East Texas, South Texas, where Cam Ward's from. To see him, 0-star recruit, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I had a graphic about that. I need to find a graphic for you, speaking of 0-star recruit. But 0-star recruit, to see Cam doing what he's doing and become the number 1 overall pick. Earn it, too. Like, nobody's saying he didn't earn it, he doesn't deserve it. Like, oh, well, the Titans screwed up. Like, everyone's like, nah, the Titans got their guy. Here's the graphic. Check this out, Pete. I loved this. You can't see the stars because of my
Is that DJ?
extra graphic here. Here, boom, there you go.
Okay.
0 stars for Cam Ward, 5 stars for DJ. That tells you everything you need to know about the way we evaluate these prospects and how where they come from really can influence the rankings. Listen, for every kid in the state of Texas, Cam Ward is an inspiration.
Yeah.
He really is. And again, like as you said, he continues to prioritize the right things, put his head down, work hard. I think that's why he's going to be a success in the NFL.
There's a young guy who works at the CVS I go to, and it's clear he's an athlete. And I'm friendly with the guy who runs the CVS, and he knows I work in sports and call games. And I came in one day, and he was talking to this young athlete, the manager was, or the guy who runs it. And he was like, hey, you only did, and the guy was like, yeah, I already worked out today. He's like, you only did 1 workout? He's like, you could do 2. And I'm like, yo, dude. I was like, if they'll let you, you can do 3. And really, that's the truth. As a young man who wants it, sometimes we are between ourselves and success, myself included.
Me too. Yeah.
And I think this is one of the beautiful things about Shedeur Sanders. You can't tell me that this will not motivate this dude. You can't. And now, in a world where we're all exhausted with the term narrative, the narrative shifts now. He's the underdog. And he is.
Yeah, you just – no, you're so right. And either before the break or after, I want to play what you said
we'll play it in a second.
and what he said last night. This is a kid who's already been extremely successful, already overcome a lot of haters. There are a lot of haters when he was at Jackson State that were like, oh, he can't play big-time football, and he just continues to show you he can. Now you've given him a chip. That's dangerous. Like we saw what that did for Aaron Rodgers. It made him a beast, right? We saw what that did for Tom Brady. Like Tom Brady carried that chip his whole career. Michael Jordan went number 3 overall and carried a chip his whole career.
Yeah.
You're giving a really talented, intelligent athlete extra juice.
And it goes back. I can only bring it back to myself because really that's the only story I'm a complete expert on. And like when I was counted out, like before I got sober and even after I got sober, people are like, dude, you're never going to, like, what do you want to call games for, like, nationally? Or, you want to work at, like, you're toast. Like, I remember people being like, you're a good dude, but you're a total screw-up. And, like, that tape still plays in my head. It's, I mean, right, wrong, or indifferent, it does. And it motivates me. I can say there's an unhealthy part of me that's always trying to prove myself, which is, again, that's probably not the healthiest thing in the world, but the fire continues to burn. Like, I'm going to prove people wrong. And that has kept me going, like, it just has. So I'm really excited for Shedeur. I think today will bring a lot. I do want to play. Scotty said we have to play this. I'm not a guy that says I told you so. I don't like saying I told you so. And by no means is this video me saying I told anybody anything.
But he did.
But in January, I felt like there was so much hype around Shedeur, and it was like, where's he going to go in the top 5? I mean, that's what was happening. And we just, in the middle of a show, and Rogue Media does such a great job taking these clips and, turning them into shorts or videos. You can see them all on my channel. Scotty did a great job yesterday with some of the videos after we talked to Paul Biancardi. So I just had a feeling that Deion was, or Shedeur was going to fall because this was finally something that was out of the control of Deion and Shedeur, and even if you want to lump Travis Hunter in there, they had done such a magnificent job when they, parachute onto the field and they kicked ass at Jackson State, at Colorado. But now the bat's taken out of their hands when it comes to the draft process, and I knew that, and I think everybody else did too. I'm not like some wildly brilliant insider, but look, this is what I said, January. Shedeur Sanders is his draft grade or his outlook is going to start to drop. And people are so excited about he should be the number 1 overall pick. I think that a lot of the stuff that makes Colorado so exciting, movement and the push from all of us, like whether it's fans or whether it's social media or whether it's the Deion stuff, and ultimately it did result in winning games this year for Colorado. However, this process is ugly for a lot of these quarterbacks, and it's uncomfortable, and it's really unfortunate the way that they poke and prod and find so many things wrong with these quarterbacks, and really, like, they operate in a silo, right? These GMs, these scouts, these coaches, all the people that will have a say in Shedeur Sanders and his career going forward. And I think we should all, Shedeur Sanders fans, and even myself, people that appreciated watching him this year, like, I would brace yourself for a bit of a fall for him. By the way, that's basketball season, Pete. That's rough. He looked rough.
No, you look good. Hey, but hey,
that's like 3 hours of sleep.
I'll say it for you as the producer, because you don't want to say "told you so." You did. You called it.
Well, I mean,
nailed it. I mean, and it's not that it's necessarily difficult to predict. All these quarterbacks go through this, but I would not have predicted in January this kind of a fall.
Well, it's just so much. There's also too, and this, we've all been around so long. The season ends. And then we have this period where, and guys have been talking about it now, and I know this because, I used to do this with McShay, like, the real scouting kind of starts after the season. And with the scouting comes all kinds of BS. And, like, whether it's up or down, a lot of it's not real, like that anonymous quote. And I want to, that was my kind of thought process earlier, but we talk about narratives and reactions. I love what Joel Klatt had to say, another sober guy, by the way. The Payoff with Pete, new episode just came up. So if you're looking to learn a little bit about sobriety, check that out. The Payoff with Pete, Stories of Sobriety, came up today. But Joel Klatt talked about the fact that this whole process was garbage, the way that Deion was handicapped by members of the media, and even this anonymous quote guy who we talked about was just total weak sauce. Let's run the Joel Klatt.
Yeah, and he won't shy away from the spotlight, and you can take that one of two ways. You can take that as a negative, you can take it as a positive. Shedeur represents everything that I dislike about the NFL draft, and it's only one thing, and it's narratives built up that are lazy and, quite frankly, trash. When you come out as an anonymous source about some meeting that you had and you don't think that some kid measured up to what you wanted him to be when he walked in your room, I think that that's trash. Shedeur Sanders is going to be a good quarterback in the National Football League. And I think that he's going to go and make some head coach and some fan base very happy because he's already done that in his career. And what I think is a very difficult spotlight for his dad at the University of Colorado in a program that was nothing before he got there for 2 decades. So those are the things that I'm looking at, is the things that you can't measure. And everyone wants to have an opinion about this guy. And listen, I get it, right? Yeah, he holds the ball too long and he drifts and all of those things. But I tell you what, this narrative that built up about Shedeur over this process, that's what I dislike about this draft.
So what do you dislike about this draft? I couldn't pick up what you just
narratives.
Put down.
This process, narratives.
No, I mean you couldn't
anonymous
have been...
or put your name on it. If you're going to say that, put your name on it. Like grab a microphone and put your name on it.
I said the same exact thing. Not that Joel Klatt has a much more important voice than I do in the world of college football and coming up around draft time, right? Especially a guy like Shedeur. Joel Klatt went to Colorado, has been very, very close to that whole process. He calls a ton of Colorado games, or did, working for Fox. And that's not him being a homer. That's just him being real. Like, that anonymous coach, that quote is just such weak sauce. And, that really bothered me. And I don't think, I think these coaches know better. I don't think it had anything to do with where he went in the draft, but it just sucks,
Yeah, totally. And what I like about what Klatt said is this is the problem with the draft process. Not necessarily, this isn't just a Shedeur isolated event. This happens to guys every year.
Yeah.
There's guys who plummet and guys who climb based on not tape, right? Like we all, he included, acknowledge Shedeur's tape ain't perfect. Like he's got holes in his game. But it's not like when the guys get a DWI or get arrested for something and so they drop a little bit because there's real concerns off the field. It's like personality crap.
Yeah.
Like Shedeur might be a little entitled. You might be too if you grew up Deion Sanders' kid. Like, come on. Like,
yeah, dude, totally. We're splitting hairs.
But like, who is he on the football field? Who is he on the football field?
Yeah.
Who is he in the locker room?
Dude,
apparently a great player, a great leader. Like,
we do that inside the show, inside the 12 show every week, right? For the Big 12. It's broadcast in Big 12 markets all across the country. I ended up hosting it with Madison Hawk. And by the way, we're coming back next year, I heard. Don't tell anybody. But it's I never heard one thing. And we did a lot of digging and research, and we talked to the schools and we talked to the coaches, out calling games for ESPN. Like, you just don't hear anything negative about him. You don't. I mean, I'm sorry, you don't. And in a process like this, where they're going to go looking under every rock and bring a light and a shovel into every room they're going into to try to figure out what this guy's all about, there wasn't anything. At the end of the day, 32 teams passed on taking him in the first round. That's it. I mean, it's not – I don't believe it's anything bigger than that. But the court of public opinion can be thrown out. All right, when we come back, I'm going to tell you where maybe the Raiders, Shedeur is going to end up. But I'll tell you why he might end up there. We're also going to get into the Cowboys draft, and we're going to talk with Cameron Stuart. I want to see what Cam has to say a little bit about the way the draft was covered. I know that I watched the ABC family feed because I was watching with Christy. Scotty watched the Pat McAfee feed because Scott's just an outlaw like that, And I watched some of that, and it was hilarious. Scotty watched the by the way, real quick, Cowboys talk. Scotty watched the Pat McAfee feed, and he didn't like it because Mike McCarthy was on.
Come on, dude. Like, okay. I get it. I get it from a production set. You're in Green Bay. Like, he's a Yenzer, that's Pat's thing. I get why Mike McCarthy is on there. But yeah, I got a little sick to my stomach. I'm like, screw this guy.
So my theory on that, and I said this before the show, and while it's fresh, Scotty, it was almost like if he were to get to like Mike McCarthy, he can't do that. So he would have to come into that with an open mind.
I can't like.
He sports hates on him because Scotty's a good guy. But
wait. Let me just ask you: are the Cowboys in a better position in any way, shape, or form right now than they were 4 or 5 years ago?
I mean, there were some really good seasons. Hey, that's not the point.
No, we are not.
He can't even give Mike McCarthy an opportunity to show who he is because Scotty's afraid to like him.
Did you see how he was dressed?
See.
Did you see? I'm gonna get a photo.
I've never heard you judge how anyone's dressed
because
before.
Usually I don't care, but I'm gonna get a photo during the break.
Basically, for Scotty to think about Mike McCarthy and to give him a chance to be a good man and to get to know him,
I'm sure he's a good guy.
I compare it to like as human beings, like we can't think about death. Like you start to think about it and you're like, oh, okay, I can't. Like you turn the page. That's how Scotty is with Mike McCarthy as a man.
I'm done.
He thinks about him. He sees him being funny, having fun. Dude, the one clip when McAfee is hitting something, who knows what it is, right? And he offers it to McCarthy on stage, and McCarthy's like, no, dude.
Wait. Can I actually give you
and Pat throws it back into the crowd.
Can I give you the Mike McCarthy moment I liked?
Okay, yeah.
McAfee was talking about the Steelers, and he's like, we heard through our journalism that Aaron Rodgers, and Mike McCarthy just goes, your journalism? And I lost it. I was like, that's hilarious.
There you go.
That's good. So, But I don't have to like him. I don't
Scotty,
have to like him.
Give Mike McCarthy a chance. All right, we're going to get into where Shedeur might go, but most importantly, we're going to talk about the Cowboys draft, who they might take, who they should take on the other side of this. The Pete Sousa Show presented by Slovaceks rolls on right after this break.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. That's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
I don't know, if Bubble wasn't here, I don't know what people would be doing, like making PowerPoints or something. Bubble allows you to make it real and for it to actually work. So I feel like Bubble bridges that gap and being able to give people the opportunity to make their ideas come to life really quickly too. I love that I can sit down and build something the way that I think it should be built and have the control over it.
Bubble turns ideas into fully scalable apps. Try Bubble today.
Hi, I'm Jo from Face Theory. You're going to want to have a specific goal for your skincare routine. What do you want to achieve? Active ingredients are really strong, and if you're using too many at once, your skin can get overwhelmed. Don't overspend on products. Choose products that have scientific research behind them. At Face Theory, if you're not happy with a product, just say so, just give us a shout and we'll give you your money back, no problem.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone and then you're gonna use the Kodak Photo Print app. It's going to print you a 4x6 photo. I am just in awe. I love how these turned out. Also, the printer comes with a free cartridge of 10 photo sheets. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
Streamline event and appointment booking with Amelia's sleek, modern, and fully customizable booking forms. Tailor the colors, fonts, and design to match your brand and seamlessly integrate with your WordPress website. Whether it's for events or appointments, Amelia makes booking simple, stylish, and perfectly aligned with your business. Enhance your booking experience today at WPAmelia.com. That's WPAMELIA.com. Amelia.
When you learn a language with Babbel, you start a journey that takes you further and further. Anytime and anywhere you wish. It's easy and fun. Broadens your horizons and keeps your brain fit. A journey into new thoughts, new cultures, new adventures. So what are you waiting for? Start your journey with Babbel now. Go to babbel.com or download the app.
BadCreditLoans.com is a pioneering service provider that has carved a reputation in the financial industry for its dedication to helping individuals with bad credit secure loans. By making timely repayments, borrowers can gradually repair their credit history, thereby increasing their chances of securing better loan terms in the future. BadCreditLoans.com serves as a beacon of hope for those with bad credit. Simple, fast, and reliable loan application process. And its commitment to responsible borrowing makes it a trusted partner in the journey towards financial stability.
All right, the Pete Sousa Show. We are live here in Central Texas. The 21st floor of the Alico building, presented by Slovaceks, of course, Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers, D1, Sikora Family Ford, Extraco Bank, Crawford Austin Properties. And right now, we're going to talk about Shedeur Sanders, but we got solution-based stuff, okay? I'm wearing this jersey today to celebrate the draft. Cruising with twos, right? Let me straighten my brother's picture up a little bit. There you go. John Matuzak was I can tell Scotty gets upset when I get off mic. John Matuzak was the first pick in the 1973 draft, taken by the Raiders. 6'8", okay? He was a maniac, and he embodied who the Raiders were. Unfortunately, he passed away at 38 years of age or 39 years of age, but let me tell you something. We're not thinking about that today. We're celebrating the twos, and we're celebrating the Raiders. The reason I want to talk about the Raiders, because obviously flavor of the day is Shedeur Sanders. It's super interesting. Before we get into the Cowboys draft and we turn it over to Cam Stuart and he joins us, we want to talk a little bit about how the draft was covered and what Cam thought about the Patriots picks. He's our guy here on the Cam Show on the Rogue Media Network, coming up right after me. So the Cleveland Browns, I think they have 2 of the first 4 picks, right, in the second round. The Raiders have the 5th pick of the second round, okay? Now, I want you to envision this, okay? Tom Brady is very involved, according to our friend Todd McShay, who joined us here last week, very involved in the Raiders draft process, okay? We know that Tom Brady has shown, has favored Shedeur Sanders as far as his abilities as a quarterback. We know about his relationship with Deion. I also think something that can't be overlooked is the fact that Shedeur is a part of Tom Brady's brand, which, of course, you don't mix business on that side of it, marketing, with the football side of it. But when you kind of understand and look at it from like 30,000 feet or even 20,000 feet, get a little closer, clearly, if Tom Brady's going to approach Shedeur Sanders and say, I want you to be a reflection, an example of who my brand embodies, right? That tells you right there that Tom Brady loves Shedeur Sanders. I mean, he's already kind of gone on record saying it, but that really puts the stamp of approval on it. So when the Raiders come up with the 5th pick in the second round, Scotty, correct me if I'm wrong, right? 5th pick in the second round, I think the Raiders have. Scotty's on it right now. Scotty Swingler. Make sure you watch Please Bear With Me, by the way, Sunday night. Scotty Swingler and
5th pick in the second round, you're correct.
5th pick in the second round. Scotty Swingler and Terrence Ganaway, former Baylor superstar, are going to be breaking down the history of Baylor football and also get you ready for what's coming up here in the fall. But I think that it's not a no-brainer, but it makes a lot of sense for Shedeur to be taken by the Raiders. And I think we all know the Geno Smith experiment is short-term there. They need an answer. And I think Pete Carroll, that environment, I think, you play behind Geno Smith, you get a chance to learn. I always have believed that those quarterbacks who get thrown right into the wolves, and we talked about them off the top of the show, whether it's Achilles Smith, Jamarcus Russell, Ryan Leaf, Joey Harrington, Sam Darnold more recently. It's just it's a tough deal, man, when you get thrown right in there. Shedeur has an opportunity almost to carbon copy what happened to Aaron Rodgers. Yes, he's going to fall into the second round. I don't think he'll fall any further than that. But Aaron had a chance to go learn. He will tell you, and so will anybody who was around that situation in Green Bay. Brett Favre wasn't imparting a ton of wisdom on Aaron Rodgers. They got along, but Brett Favre was just, and I get it. He wasn't basically like, let me groom this guy so he can take my job. But Aaron Rodgers did get to learn behind Brett Favre and just learn, period. I think Shedeur gets a season to learn behind someone like Geno Smith. He's with Pete Carroll. Tom Brady's around. That situation makes a ton of sense to me. Scotty?
It does make a ton of sense.
Oh, boy, here he comes with the cold water.
Yeah, I am. It would be very good for Shedeur. People forget, I'm going to add to your narrative here. Brady and Mahomes, the two GOATs, what do they have in common? They also sat behind a veteran for a year. It is a path for success.
Yeah.
It helps. It only helps.
Yeah.
That would be good for Shedeur.
Yeah.
I thought that's why the Giants would be good for him as well. If the Giants had gone with him instead of Jackson Dart, sit behind Russell Wilson for a season. It makes sense to me. I do not see how the Cleveland Browns, with 2 picks, 1 and 4 in this next round, don't take him.
Okay. Here's a little.
And if they take him, it will be the opposite. It will be he has to play. It will be that he gets destroyed. And yet another quarterback will go to the Cleveland Browns for their career to crater.
Now, okay.
And I will be devastated for the kid.
I forgot to weigh in on that because I know that's a possibility. But guess what? And this is where the feathers get ruffled here, right? How dare you, dropping to the second round, tell us not to pick you? But that's a possibility as well.
I agree. I told my father that this morning.
Coach Prime being like, "Yo, we're not going to Cleveland." Like, yeah.
I also think that's reasonable, and I also think that's a very real possibility.
Yes.
If there's one franchise, if I said pick one that you do not want to end up with as a quarterback, that's the one.
I was reading a publication out of Vegas this morning that was talking about that kind of lent to our theory that, hey, like there's not going to be, like if the Browns do say they're going to draft him, it's it's quite possible that Deion would say no.
But you're right. I mean, if it's not the Browns, the Texans got their guy and Tennessee got their guy.
Yes.
So Raiders would be next up, and then Saints would be up again. But we heard Todd McShay said they won't even take him at 40. So I mean, it really gets weird. I really don't know where he's going to end up. I mean, again, I hate to keep banging the drum, Pete.
Yeah.
If he gets past the Raiders, I don't think it's beyond Jerry Jones to take him. I don't want him to. I told you, I kind of want the Cowboys to go with Scattaboo there, get our starting running back and punish some people. But I do not put it beyond Jerry Jones. The further Shedeur slips, the more likely the Cowboys get.
This goes
No,
back to the Mike
Jerry
McCarthy.
Jones is going to see the money signs.
Okay.
bro.
Okay. Let's talk about the Cowboys, and then we're going to take a break, and then we'll bring in Cam Stewart. Can anybody give Jerry and Will McClay and Stephen Jones a little bit of credit this morning?
I texted you immediately.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love the pick. I mean, look, Ed Werder said it on this network, right? On the Doomsday podcast with Matt Mosley on the Rogue Media Network. He talked about this is a draft where the Cowboys need to come away and say, we picked up 4 or 5 starters. Like, you got one.
You got one. And you need about 2 or 3 on that offensive line.
And now you have a young offensive line. Like, that is – I love what the Cowboys did. Like,
I do too.
The fact that we're not talking about the Cowboys this morning is the best news for Cowboys fans everywhere.
Could not agree more. And frankly, this personnel department the Cowboys have usually hit on offensive line in the first round. I mean, they got criticized for the Tyler Smith pick out of Tulsa. He's been great. Yeah. Lyle Collins, really good starter for 5 years. Like, best case.
Zach Martin,
Travis Frederick. Yeah. Both those picks, they're both incredible. So I really liked the pick as well.
All right, possibilities for Dallas, right? We didn't take a wide receiver, or you guys didn't take a wide receiver. They didn't take a wide receiver. No Golden. Honestly, I think Tet McMillan getting taken that early.
I was so happy.
That could have solved a lot of problems, right? And I covered Tet doing the Big 12 and talking to people like McShay last week and just offline. There's some questions there. People don't, like you talk about somebody who has the dog in them. Like, I don't know about that, but I'm not in the locker room with them, whatever. But there are some questions around that. I love, and this would be a homer pick, but one guy to keep an eye on today again, I bring it back to my Big 12 ties, Jack Besh.
I knew you were going to say his name.
Yeah, I love him as a fit.
He's good.
For, somebody to, we got CD down the field, right? And you got him underneath the coverage. It just makes a ton of sense. A move to change possession guy.
Yeah.
That could play right away.
So my take is different as a Cowboys fan.
Yeah.
Biggest hole the Cowboys offense had last year, and there were holes.
Yeah.
You did not have an every down back. You
Okay.
did not have an every down running back. I don't know. And biggest flaw in hindsight was Derrick Henry wanted to be a Dallas Cowboy, and Jerry Jones didn't sign him.
Okay.
And in my mind, you've still got 6 or 7 running backs in this draft who could be NFL starters, and that is not usually how it is in the draft.
Boyd?
There's usually 2, right?
And I think.
You said Taj Boyd. That was the quarterback.
What's his face?
the Texas Tech guy.
Texas Tech guy. Taj. Can't believe I'm
Cam's
forgetting
screaming at us through the thing somewhere.
Is he?
Probably. Brooks.
Oh, Taj Brooks. And by the way, speaking of Cam Scatterboo is a possibility.
I want Cam Scatterboo.
And also Quinshon Jenkins from Ohio State.
Judkins and Travion Henderson are still there.
Judkins is probably at the top of the list. So that's like if I'm a Cowboys.
DJ Giddens.
Yeah.
There's
Kansas
a
State.
lot of starting running back. I want to lock down that starting running back because here's the deal. In my opinion, you can get a number 2 wide receiver in the 4th round.
Yeah.
You can get a number 2 wide receiver. Tyler Lockett, I think, is still a free agent.
Yeah.
I know he's older. I'm a believer. Sign him. Like you can get more receivers. You've got your number 1 guy.
Yeah.
CD's great. Go get your number 1 back. We need a back. We don't have anybody.
And one thing with everything going on and the lack of time here, we didn't get a chance to tip the cap to the Giants. Amazing job. You get Abdul Carter. You do what you have to do to get Jackson Dart. They are. What are you laughing at? What are you laughing at?
We don't have time.
Why?
Let's do it after the weekend.
Well, what is it? Tell me real quick.
Jackson Dart is going to suck in the NFL.
Why? Why do you say that?
Because I watched that dude throw 3 consecutive interceptions to lose a football game. He doesn't have it. I'm sorry. He doesn't. As a Cowboys fan, I was applauding the Jackson Dart trade up and pick because I was like, I love that for you guys.
Were they even better off taking Shedeur?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
I think so. I'm not a scout, but I think Shedeur is going to be better. Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of the draft, we got Mr. Irrelevant, Cam Stuart, on the other side of the break. The Pete Sousa Show presented by Slovagics. God, it's been too long since we've talked to Cam. He's coming back after the break. We're going to talk about the draft. I'm sorry, guys. I got to ask him about Karen Reed, just exactly where he is in this whole process with this. The trial started up earlier this week with some fireworks. We'll see what Cam has on that. But more than anything, I want to see what he thought. Cam and I are big sports media guys, and I want to see what he thought of the draft coverage. So Pete Sousa Show presented by Slovagics. Right back after this. We'll be right back after these quick words from our sponsors. This is Rogue Media Network.
Experience the perfect blend of exquisite craftsmanship and life-changing technology with Gevi. Every product is built with precision, featuring specialized parts that ensure durability, efficiency, and safety. We put every machine through 6,000 rigorous tests to guarantee long-lasting performance. With cutting-edge technology and a commitment to energy efficiency, Gevi makes your life easier, greener, and more convenient. Upgrade your everyday with Gevi. Visit us at gevi.com to discover more. That's gevi.com. Cleanse your body of accumulated toxins and embark on your wellness journey at your own pace. At Global Healing, we provide premium supplements to help your body heal naturally. Combine that with OrganicHemp.com's top quality CBD for ultimate balance. Start your healing journey today at globalhealing.com and OrganicHemp.com. Transform your workspace with Hanomi Ergonomics. From adjustable chairs to standing desks, we provide solutions for comfort and productivity, whether at home or in the office. Improve your posture, reduce strain, and work smarter. Visit us at hanomi.co today. That's HINOMI.co today. Experience the future of secure private cloud storage with Internex. Protect your files with end-to-end encryption, ensuring your data stays private and accessible only to you. Enjoy seamless, fast storage without compromising security. Visit Internex.com today and take control of your digital life. That's INTERNXT.com today. Calling all Marvel fans, get Marvel Unlimited and unlock over 30,000 comics featuring your favorite heroes and iconic stories, all available to read anytime, anywhere. Whether you're into classic tales or the latest adventures, there's something for everyone. Don't miss out. Head to marvel.com/unlimited today and start your Marvel journey now.
And now, back to our show. Justice for Karen. There he is. Yo, Cam Stewart.
Yeah?
Live from Chicago. The Cam Show host,
Jason.
which is coming up after our show.
Mhm.
Cam, this, by the way, we're live. What are you laughing at? We're live on X right now.
I saw it, yeah.
Yeah.
Retweeted.
Yeah. thank
Re-X'd.
you. Yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah.
kind of cool. You know, it's funny. We were talking about it, Scotty and I. The video is really clean on X for some reason. That's something to keep an eye on. I had put a
This
couple
Elon guy, am I right, fellas?
All right.
Let
the
that one
NFL
breathe.
draft.
Yeah.
I want your first thought on the coverage of the draft from a media perspective. And there's a potpourri. What are you laughing about?
Nothing. I thought about directly quoting that tweet I sent you this morning, but I'm not going to do it. That's not my first thought on draft coverage.
You had an issue with something Jamel Hill tweeted.
Josina Anderson.
Josina Anderson, sorry.
Just tweeted out like no thoughts really on it. Just saying, no African American women covering the NFL draft on ESPN.
I mean, honestly,
I'm
look,
just like, okay,
throw politics out. I didn't notice it, but that is kind of a thing because there's a
That's the
lot
thing,
of really good young black women who do that.
Sure,
or older black women.
Sure.
You know?
But like you didn't notice it. I don't know. I mean, I don't think NFL draft coverage. I think it's the best TV night of the year for me.
Yeah.
But mainly because you poke a ton of holes in it too. Like it's fun. You know what I mean? It's supposed to be this ultra serious thing, but it's such an inexact science. So I just saw that and I was like, oh, okay. She didn't have any more thoughts on it. It's just like one of those, like, I just putting it out there.
Yeah.
Just not like, hey, I should have been doing this. I'm a qualified reporter. But anyway, first thoughts on
By the way,
draft.
she should have. She's awesome, by the way.
I know. And that was kind of my big takeaway was
And
she is a
big
really good
stories,
reporter.
too. She actually gets stories and breaks stories.
Breaks news. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just break wind over here. Anyway, my big
toll say, I don't break stories. I react to them.
Yeah, it works for him, honestly.
Sure does.
He's very like big into that. He's like, I'm not a newsbreaker. Anyway, you want my initial reaction from the draft coverage last night?
Yes.
I couldn't understand. My edible had not set in yet when the number one pick was on the clock, and I'm tuning in, and all I'm seeing are highlights of Shedeur Sanders. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? What is this? And then I hear two of the three pundits say they would take Shedeur number one in the draft. I'm like, what are we talking about? Like that hasn't been an option for weeks here, like weeks and months here. That has not been the option. It's always been Carter and Ward. And really the last like 3 or 4 weeks, it's been Cam Ward. And I've got ESPN telling, I'm like sitting here. I'm like, am I too plugged in? Am I doing too much draft reading here? Because Shedeur Sanders is not an option. So that was my biggest takeaway. I was just like, what are we doing here? What is this?
Well, okay.
Why are they trying to force like intrigue around the pick or what?
I'll push back a little bit.
Okay, please do, Pete.
Which particular feed were you watching? ABC, ESPN?
ESPN, yeah.
Okay. So that's more of a football show. Now,
I would hope so for the NFL draft, yeah.
Although it is, because compared to the ABC one. So it's a broadcast, right? It's a broadcast, okay? It's entertainment. A lot of people are not familiar with the draft that will tune in on this one night. Now, more often over to ABC, right? Gathering under a tent. But it's how you start off the show. Shedeur's a huge story. It's at the top of the show. I'm sure they didn't talk about it after he was drafted, right? They talked about it before, I would think.
Well, after he was drafted, no, because he wasn't drafted. But
I mean, after Cam Ward was drafted.
I mean, yeah. I just found it odd that like there was really no shot that he was going to be the number one pick, Pete. That's the thing. No chance. Like Cam Scadaboo is an interesting story too, but they didn't talk about him. You know, it's just like this guy didn't really have a shot. Like I get where you're coming from, but there was no chance he was going to be picked number one.
Yeah.
Travis Hunter's a better player and had something of a chance to go number one. And, he wasn't talked about. I don't know. It's weird.
I do love, and I think ESPN gets it. I think the NFL Network gets it. Certainly Pat McAfee got it. Like, you do just you throw the kitchen sink at this thing. And like live television, there'll be some stuff that we can all sit back and be like, but at the end of the day, it's awesome.
Yeah, and certainly I understand as the round goes on, being like, why hasn't Shedeur been taken yet? Like that used to be an every year thing. Now with so many guys that don't actually go to the draft, I guess there's not as much, but that was like the best. It's like the kid's worst hour of his life, but when they keep showing Aaron Rodgers and he's not being picked, and it's or Laramie Tunsil after the video, and it was that I understand. I just couldn't understand why number one pick on the clock, and you could have even made an argument of like, hey, we've heard Cam Ward, but maybe it's Abdul Carter. Like, how much of a game wrecker is Abdul Carter at the second most important position? And they didn't. Yeah. It was just Shedeur highlights.
So you thought that was a miss at the top of the show?
Yeah, I just thought it was. I thought it was weird, and I thought most people tuning in thought it was weird.
Yeah. What did you think about? There was one thing I noticed.
Didn't get drafted at all in the first night. Yeah.
There was I'm watching with Christy, who has got, we got a little Prosecco going, so we got some opinions. All right. And did you notice when they were going to the guys who were getting drafted, it was kind of late? Like they would keep the camera, like the live view on the guys at home. Like they would get drafted and you'd expect to go to the home. Mm-hmm. And it was the guys sitting on their couches, but they hadn't been drafted yet. So you're getting no reaction. And it happened a couple of times. Like, what were your thoughts about that at all? Did you notice that even?
Yeah, and it seemed weirder. It seemed more kind of delayed than years past because there's always some sort of a delay, right? Because they're watching it on TV, and it's a feed that comes in. But it did seem a little bit more delayed, a little bit more awkward. And I always wonder when it is like that, like. It always feels like they're going to see themselves on the TV screen before they hear that they're going to get picked, because it's so delayed. Obviously, that's not how this works. But yeah, it was a little odd, and it is more pronounced because again, more players are staying home. I guess they don't want the constant cameras on them when they're sliding possibly towards the end of the first round and out of the first round. I think that's a big reason why. I think guys like their families too, but I think that's a big reason why.
Was there a favorite story or moment that jumped out of you in the first round as part of the draft coverage that ESPN presented where you were like, wow, this is really cool?
I mean, Schefter's outfit for sure. I didn't think it was that cold in Green Bay. It was a bit of an interesting look. Did you see that with the hoodie?
I didn't see it. No, Scotty's I was watching ABC.
Oh, okay. That's right. That's right.
I'm trying to bring like, your partner.
The human element.
Yes, it was great. But it didn't matter because Christy talked over all that anyway. So we could have been watching.
Dude, I had this happen again the other night, but I don't think you've ever met Grace, but she is a heck of a talker. And we'll watch these shows and she'll have a question for everything. And sometimes I'm going to be like, I have to be like, I'm going to turn this off if you're going to ask a question after every sentence. Like part of watching this thing is that we're going to probably find out later, like you're in the same episode as me. But we had one last night after I had turned off the draft. That was like, she asked like 3 questions in a row. And like, she said, why are they doing this? What? And literally it was like a minute, 20 seconds probably. And I was like, I don't know, because they probably just explained it. Like the guy kept talking, but I couldn't hear it. He just talked over the whole thing. Now it is different. I'll let her talk over it to some degree when it's sports because like I am the encyclopedia and I could give her the answer. Yeah. But like in a show, I'm like, I don't know. It's a narrative. It's a narrative story.
I will say I agree. But there's also a big positive to it. Like here she is, like.
Well, sure, yes.
These are people
I don't take that
are
for
so
granted.
special to us, and we're sharing something with them. And the fact that she's so engaged, whether it's Grace or Christy, that they're going to be talking the whole time, that's like a win. Everybody's happy.
Yes, I don't take it for granted. Yeah.
So I welcome the questions. I actually got yelled at for talking over stuff last night because
I can believe that.
I can talk a little bit.
Yeah, I can believe that.
Were you happy with the Patriots draft?
it's acceptable. It's acceptable. So I have not been on the Will Campbell train. I hate to be that guy that's so into it that you just get into measurables. But for me, like, you have to draw a line somewhere. And while Will Campbell was a pretty dang good, obviously, offensive lineman and tackle in college, there has not been a starting tackle in the league the last 25 years who has arms as short as his. Like, this is not. And I go back to the old Bill Parcells quote, would say, like, oh, in this example, we love Will Campbell. He's great on tape. He says all the right things. He's a leader and all this. But, oh, yeah, he doesn't have 33-inch arms. And Bill Parcells used to say, if you make an exception, right, if you don't adhere to these standards that we set, you're going to have a team full of exceptions. And it's just a really premium draft pick in the top 5 to be picking a guy who might not be a tackle in this league. Is the other alternative that he's going to be a pretty good guard, even though that's a position he's never played? I'll buy into that because I think he's going to be a good player. And so if he's not a tackle, I think he'll be a good guard. But I'm not exactly sold on him being your franchise left tackle because of those measurables. And to go off of that, if you're going to say, look, our offensive line was by far our biggest problem last year on a team full of problems. We got a franchise quarterback. We need to make sure he's not being held out for head injuries like he was twice in this season. We need to go out there and get the best tackle in the draft. Like, that is an easy sell to the fans. But your pal and NFL draft expert Todd McShay said nobody in the league believes he's worth a top 5 pick. And there was all this buzz around guys like Ashton Genty mainly for a trade-up candidate. If you're going to pick Will Campbell, you can pick him at 7 or 8 or maybe even 10. And I just think that would have been the way to go to trade back. Now, Mike Vrabel says there were no offers for a trade up to 4. Of course, he's going to say that. He might well be right. But I just didn't love that they picked him at 4. I think you could have got some more draft capital and kind of faked someone out and drafted him somewhere else in the top 10 and got another pick out of it because I think he would have been there. But I'll give the kid credit. He said the right things afterwards.
Well, and that's an example. That brings me to my question. And Scotty's got a couple comments. And
Okay.
then I want to hit you with some Karen Reed, and then we'll let you go. You got a show to start. Is he too nice of a guy everybody loves him so much that I feel like the moment he got in the building, like, he's just winning people over nonstop. It makes it a lot easier to pull the trigger on a guy like that. It just does.
For sure. I think they also really like Jalen Walker, who I loved, and he fell all the way to 15. I think that's a steal at 15 for the Falcons. So it's not like he's the only guy they love. But yeah, I think there's a little bit of that. Yeah. I think Mike Vrabel sees a little bit of himself in Will Campbell because Vrabel was kind of in that same way. He was a defensive end in college. He was a 5 technique lineup on the line of scrimmage kind of guy, and was too small, obviously, to do that in the NFL. Became an excellent outside linebacker. I mean, a borderline Hall of Famer. And so I think he sees some of that of like, this is a kid, they're telling him he can't play his position. This is the only position he's played. And he's saying all the right things, and he's saying he's going to be nasty. And he says on national TV he's gonna fight and die to protect this quarterback. Like, yeah, I think they buy into that a little bit, but it would also be insulting to say that they didn't love the tape as well. But I do think that kind of character quality kind of puts it over the top. And they don't care how slow he talks, like some Patriots fans and sports talk radio hosts, which that's one thing I don't really miss about New England. They haven't been outside of their own backyard. I mean, that is a silky smooth, beautiful accent. He's got that Monroe accent, Pete. I know you know that. And
he's from
already,
Monroe? Is he West Monroe?
Yeah. And already I've got to hear, I won't make any Forrest Gump jokes, or, he's already the slowest talker. Like, shut up, dude. Shut up. Like, you know how our accent sounds to the rest of the country? Pfft, come on,
if he's
man.
from Monroe, it makes sense that he's that cool and humble. All right, Scotty, what do you got?
All right, Cam. I've got a couple comments to share with both of you, and then I have a question for you, Cam. First of all, our friend Bear the Truth wants to know, you've been in Chicago a while. Where's the best pizza?
So I haven't been, I'll be honest, Bear. I have not been to like the hole in the wall places in Chicago. And I don't think I've had the true deep dish yet. I've had a deep dish, but I don't think it's the true one. And there's a small chain that everyone loves around here called Lou Malnati's. It's not a big chain. It's only Chicago and like one or two in the suburbs. And I think that one's been really good. That's been my favorite so far.
And then I wanted to let both of you know we had a comment. Cam, you mentioned Grace being quite the talker, and one Christy chimed in, "I'll like Grace then." Thought that was
Perfect.
a great comment to
Perfect.
share.
Sometimes, and as much as I love her, sometimes I just bring her to things that I don't want to talk much at, and she'll just go nuts. I mean, it doesn't matter who it is, my family, my friends, people she's never met. So that'll be great. And if we double date this ever, I mean,
I would love
Pete
that,
and I
dude.
could just go off for a couple hours. Like that just puts us both puts everyone in their sweet spots to some degree.
What else you got, Scotty?
All right,
Cam, do you have time? Like a couple more minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Final question. Pete, you are not allowed to chime in until Cam gives his complete answer. Cam, if speaking of media coverage in the draft, if you're someone you're close with, a brother, a close friend, if they showed up to a formal event dressed like this, what would you say to them?
I mean, I would tell this person, this hypothetical person, whomever it is, I would say, tuck the shirt in if it will survive, is what I would say there. I mean, that's first off, let's just talk. I mean, obviously the not tucking in the shirt looks really slobbish, and probably should just get a better fitting shirt. But like, how about the black on black on the bottom here when you're going all blue for the rest of the suit? Like that's not accenting that at all. I mean, first off, it's 2025. You should be wearing some nice brown shoes with a blue suit, and to double up on the black on the bottom to contrast with navy blue, I think that sucks.
This outfit is all it is confirmation that all this dude wants to do is talk about ball and coach ball.
Then okay, then fine. Like then wear a hoodie.
He needs a friend.
I don't care about that.
Who tells him that the skinny pants work when you're like 40 and under and below a certain weight limit. And, when your neck disappears into your collar and your shirt's untucked on the bottom, you might need to think about getting some tailored clothing if you're going to be on TV. That was my thought.
And he makes enough money, by the way.
I got two more questions for you, Cam.
Gigantic, man. Yeah.
All right. So we just mentioned, Scotty, you can stay up here. You just mentioned about Scotty said a friend would tell you. All right, so this Bill Belichick and his young girlfriend situation, we haven't talked about this in a while.
Yeah.
Like, I think this is like a little bit more like explosive than we even thought, right? Or like attention grabbing or whatever you want to say. There's a lot here on the bone. Like, what are your thoughts? Like, will this young woman tone it down heading into football season? Are we just witnessing the beginning? It's really interesting.
This is going to sound kind of old school, but I think Belichick will make this happen this way. She will either tone it down by football season or they won't be an item. Like, I don't think this is going to end well either way. I don't think they're going to get married and live off happily ever after, and he's going to die and she's going to be like 38. I don't think that's how it's going to happen. And I think once he gets closer to ball, he's going to be like, okay, enough with this. I'm in football season. I'm not doing any of this extra stuff. And maybe he's nice about it. But I do think it will be toned down real quick. I get this text last night from a group chat. Me and my girlfriend's family, her immediate family, are in this group chat. And it's from her dad, who rolls in some pretty high circles, Quail Hollow.
In Charlotte.
And yes, and he sends a text. It's like this grainy picture. And he goes, Cam, eating dinner with your hero. And you see like this guy speaking at a podium. I'm like, I don't know who this guy is. And behind him in one of the chairs, Bill Belichick. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding, right? and I asked, I said, does it bother you at all that he's 10, 12 years older than you and he's dating someone that's the same age as your youngest daughter? Didn't get an answer yet.
All right, Karen Reed. Anything to look forward to there? I know this is, I'm kind of jumping you with this. You were honest. You said you haven't been tracking it as much because you've been doing your job.
Yeah, a little bit.
It seems like stuff is starting to percolate in that courtroom.
Yes. I mean, the big thing, and I sent you this the other day, was we have perjury, folks. We are now entering perjury territory. It's been speculated. We have entered it. And it's going to seem like a small thing, but it's pretty big. I'm going to read it off here. Kerry Roberts lied under oath to help Jen McCabe for that Google search at 2:30 in the morning about hypothermia, whatever it is. How long does it take to die in the cold? Die in the snow. And so apparently Kerry Roberts had testified that she had asked, or Karen Reed had asked Jen McCabe to do that Google search. And she said, no, I only heard basically that Jen said that Karen asked her that, and I testified to that. So that's huge. Now it's a he said, she said. Now you don't have a witness in that particular search. And so the whole open the tab at this time, but actually searched it at this time is thrown out the window. Now all we know is that there is a Google search at 2:30 in the morning after Karen Reed has dropped off John O'Keefe and left the scene, the search that says, how long does it take to die in the snow? That's all we know now because we don't have that witness testimony
anymore. Does that speak to a cover-up?
I mean, yeah, to some degree. I don't know if, maybe this is me being too naive. I think it's maybe just a bit of a kind of crumbling under pressure and going off what you've heard kind of thing, trying to protect someone. But yeah, I mean, it technically it does. I mean, now you're hearing that, one of the witnesses who could be a defendant in a future case, right, is now telling another witness what to say under oath.
Yeah.
In a huge kind of incriminating part of the trial.
How much longer is the trial going to take, you think?
Who knows? This could drag on. I just think, I don't think there's any way that 12 jurors find her guilty. And whether that's the right call or the wrong call, I just don't think there's enough there. So this could take a couple more weeks here.
Cam Stewart, gavel to gavel with us as far as Karen Reed is concerned. I used to say that when I was doing TV news. I'd be like, we're bringing you gavel to gavel coverage. And somebody was like, is this really gavel to gavel coverage? I'd be like, shut up.
It is when I say it is.
All right. Anything from you, Scotty? All right, Cam, thank you so much. We're going to sign off here. Go watch Cam's show right now. It's the Cam Show. Man, great day. Yeah, hey, everybody watching on X, subscribe to the Pete Sousa Show. We so appreciate you guys joining us today. Just a lot of fun, sharing some positive vibes about sports and other things going on here socially. We'll be back on Monday morning, the Pete Sousa Show, presented by Slovacics. Everybody enjoy your weekend.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is Stark.
We are Rogue Media Sports.